Welcome back to the Chad Hasty Show, News Talk 95.1 FM and 790 AM KFYO. Thank you very much for tuning in today. In studio, Democratic candidate for HD 83, Drew Landry, back on the show with us. Welcome back.
Hey, thank you for having me on, Chad. It's such a great honor to be here. Jody, it's good to see you too, man. Such an honor. Before we get started with this, I wanted to tell your audience how thankful I am that you let me come on here. You know, we worked it out. This is his show. He's able to tell people go away anytime that he wants, and we worked something out to where we can have this today. So I'm very gracious. Thank you very much. Well,
hey, you're running for office, and you know it's one of those where we don't have a lot of Democrats who come on the show, but it's something where we want Democrats to come on. We want Republicans. It's part of the dialogue, part of the discussion. You're running for office. You are running for HD 83.
Yes, sir.
I think the last time we had you on, it was almost right after you announced, maybe.
Yeah, almost been a year.
Yeah.
How have you just been able to survive without me? I don't know.
We've been talking about you a little bit. So tell folks what you've been up to. I know you've been doing a lot of town halls and talking to folks.
That's right.
So talk about that a little bit.
Sure. Yeah, we've been everywhere. In the 7 counties that consist of HD 83, we've gone to just every single county and every little part of it. And so we go into Gale and into the KFYO country store. You know, Becky and Brenda are very nice people. They let me come in there, and we're on a first name basis with just about everybody inside the county courthouses. We are going here, there, and everywhere, talking to anybody who will give us 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 30 seconds. So this has been the campaign. You know, we're not taking this lightly. We're not taking anything for granted. We're going out there. We're talking to whoever, wherever, whether they voted for the president, whether they voted for Bernie, whether they voted for Hillary, whether they voted for the senator. It doesn't matter. They have a voice, they have a thought, and we've been going out there listening to them, talking with them. Now, we've had town halls. We've had several town halls. We have more upcoming. We're going to do several throughout the summer, and so we're going to make this a much bigger race than what is predicted or what other people may think that it should be.
Obviously, this is deep red Texas.
Sure.
Out here. When you're going around to some of these different counties and some of these different cities and places that are traditional Republican strongholds, you've got to get some of those voters onto your side. In order to win in this race, you've got to get them over to your side.
Sure.
So how are you trying to do that? What issues are you talking to them about?
Well, first and foremost, what we've found is that public education is something that they are very much concerned, and that is one of the top things that they always want to talk to me about. Is their school going to be there next year? Will the teachers that they have right now, who they love very much, is that person going to be there? That's one of the top concerns about that. And so we talk a lot about public education in this race. And matter of fact, it's the top item of the campaign. With things going on throughout the country and what the op-ed that I wrote in the AJ, this is an issue that has to be discussed. It has to be forefront. And that's just the way I see it, and that's what they're very much concerned about. They're also concerned about their agriculture, because this is a heavy agricultural area. They want to know what we're going to do about water. They want to know what we're going to do to preserve and protect agriculture for the future, and how the state can maintain that. Also about the feral hog problem, there's no question that that is devastating to a lot of ranchers and farmers, and so we have to allow them the creative ways to expel them, and that's what we need to help them out in that.
Right.
And they're concerned about the infrastructure. You know, the rural areas are concerned about the strength of the internet connection that they have. They're concerned about the roads that they drive on. Businesses are concerned about that. Farmers and ranchers even want wind turbines. I know that's Jody's favorite thing in the world. He loves those
He's
wind
a big
turbines.
fan, yeah.
We're going to name one Jody Smyers just for you, okay? And we also have they also want solar panels. And so we have to find ways where we can accommodate those farmers and ranchers, and that'll bring more resources to the counties. That'll help out the farmers with what they want to achieve. And so those are the main things that we're finding. You know, they're also talking about their health care, also concerned about first responders. And so we talk about those things as well. But that's what my campaign's been about. We talk about those things on a consistent basis as much as we can.
When it comes to public ed, and I know we talked about this the first time you were on, but as you said, this is kind of that first major major issue in your campaign,
right?
That you want to talk about. So what would you do different if you were, let's say you're elected?
Yep.
What would you like to see done differently on, I'm guessing, funding of public education?
That's definitely one part of it. With the Legislative Budget Board came out in a interim hearing. They said that the state is providing 38% of its share to public education. That means local property taxes are making up 62% of that. That's why our property taxes are going up. That's a great reason as to why that's happening. And so we have to at least get that to 50-50. And that's the very bare minimum. And that's one thing that I think we really have to do. It comes down to priorities. It comes down to the values that we have. And, acetar isn't, the way that it used to be is no longer there. And so a lot of those smaller areas are going to be going, well, we've depended on this money before, now what? And so it's the funding is definitely part of the conversation. We also have to restore respect to the teaching profession, because what we're finding in Texas, and it's not just unique to Texas, but all throughout the country, is that there's a teacher shortage. Very few people are wanting to go into the education field. And what they're finding is that with the way that teachers are being treated, with the retirement being the way that it is, they're asking, why am I going into this? Other than the fact that I care for the children, I care for my community, and I care about the future, is this really going to be worth it in the long run? And what we're finding is a lot of future potential teachers are saying, nope, I'm not going to do it. And that's a crisis. That's a problem that we have to, and we have to find a way to do that. And step one is to restore respect. And that's a big deal about it.
When you bring up respect, is that respect from parents? Is that respect from who?
Very good question. Respect from the state. Respect from our leaders. When Dan Patrick comes on here and says, and basically lies to them and says, here's what we're going to do. We're going to give you a $10,000 raise. That was going to be an unfunded mandate to the school boards, and they were going to find that money through our property taxes. And that is not how you do this sort of thing. And then you constantly lie to them about how, your retirement's going to be fine and we're going to provide for that. I mean, he was at the Texas Retired Teachers Association convention down in San Antonio, excuse me, just a few weeks ago. And he showed up, pointed the finger and said, your retirement will be fine. Well, is anyone going to hold him accountable to that? What's going to happen to this? And I think it's just a byline. And so we need somebody in there who's going to say, okay, look, you said this, let's work on it. And I think I'm really the one to really make him, bring his feet to the fire on that.
When we come back, we're going to continue our conversation with Drew Landry, a Democratic candidate for HD 83. Got more questions on public education and some things that some of the Democratic candidates have brought up for governor. We'll get his opinion on as well. Chad Hasty Show, KFYO. All right, Chad Hasty Show, News Talk 95.1 FM, 790 AM, KFYO. Thank you very much for tuning back in. We've got Drew Landry, Democratic candidate for HD 83 in studio. Let's continue on public education for a little bit, because this does seem like one of the major dividing points, not only among Democrats and Republicans in the state, even among some Republicans in the state, there's a division.
That's right.
But how do you pay for it? It always comes down to that, right? Anything that state legislature wants to do, it's how you're going to pay for it. When I've had candidates on before, even Republican candidates who have wanted to spend more on public education, they can't tell me where they're going to get the money for it.
Right.
So you're next. Where do you get the money for it?
Okay, here's what I think is a good place to start is. Since the president and the federal government have taken the lead on immigration, and they should have, that's their issue. They should have done this a long time ago. I'll let Senator Cruz and Congressman O'Rourke and Congressman Arrington and Dr. Lavario, let them debate if that's the merits as to what it is and all the details of that. But since they took it over, that's $800 million that we were spending on that. Guess what? They want to take the lead. They're going to pay for it. Great. That's what we can put into public education. The testing contract that we have with ETS is almost $300 million. We ease our way off of standardized exams, and we let teachers teach, and we let school boards decide how they want to do assessment, that's $300 million. That's $1.1 billion that we just found without raising a dime of taxes. Now, that's a tremendous start. That's not a sustaining thing. What we have to really get around is the property tax share is not fair to local homeowners, and we need to balance that out. And so what we can do with that money that I just found is that we can bring in that balance. Now, I have to tell you, I don't really, we'll find out exactly how the finance committee that's meeting in the interim what they'll find. Not going to be a big fan of raising the sales tax, because that's, if you make anywhere between $30,000 to $50,000 or even a little bit more, as most people do in D83, that's going to be a tax hike upon your groceries and all those things. It's not really what I'm looking for. But I'm definitely against raising or bringing in any kind of state income tax. There's no way I'm ever going to vote for something like that. But what we have some funds saved up that can bring us to a stopgap, and that can buy us about 3 to 4 years' time. And so we can, that's what we can do. And after that, we're going to have to. This committee we're depending a lot on it. And what is it that you're going to suggest? Fine. Then let's go from there. But in the meantime, we have the funds to get us to that point, and that's what I think we need to really focus on. When
last week I had Beto O'Rourke on the program, and there are some things. Obviously, you are running in two different races, but he's got ideas that people want to know. Do you share some of those ideas? When it comes to health care, he's for universal health care. Yeah. When it comes to guns, kind of a big issue in the state. You know that.
Sure.
He's in favor of saying, no, you can't buy an AR-15.
Right.
If he is elected, if you're elected, you're Democrats, both part of the same party.
Sure.
What are your thoughts on those issues? Because those are going to impact Texans, and maybe the state legislature is going to want to have a talk about that.
Yeah, we would. Well, I don't think universal health care would happen in this state. That's a federal thing. If that's what they want to do, they better do their homework to make sure that everybody can get covered and everyone's going to have the access to it, and that's their thing. I have a different approach to health care. And it's a bit more detailed. Do we have time that I can talk about it just a minute?
Sure.
Okay. Is that, first thing that we have to do is that we have to expand Medicaid. I've talked to county hospital officials who tell me, first off, I'm conservative. I voted for Senator Cruz. I voted for Governor Abbott. We needed to expand Medicaid. And they make that known to me. I said, well, okay, that's step one. Next thing we have to do is that we have to do something about our insurance coverage, and this absolute stopgap that we have is not doing very well, and a transparency plan is just not going to work. I call that the Whataburger plan. Like you look at a menu here and you go, I want the proctologist with cheese, please. And that's just not exactly the plan that's going to get us to the future. So we expand Medicaid. We allow outside insurance coverages to from the state to compete in Texas. That'll bring out some market values. We allow associations ways to negotiate the health plans. We allow patients. Now, this is something that's actually forbidden by the federal government, and we can take them on this. We need to lead on this. I want patients to be able to negotiate their health care costs and their drug costs. I want doctors to feel encouraged to prescribe the generic drug, not just the new name brand drug. And so we also have to give them the capabilities to where doctors don't feel like they have to test somebody 7 or 8 or 9 times just for one thing, just so that they get it right. If you do it 2 or 3 times, you should feel pretty confident, and you're the professional in the field to diagnose somebody with that. So those are the types of things that cost people the most: is the administrative, the types of the constant testing. And that's what my plan is going to really try to eliminate. And that's something more reasonable than just saying, well, just tell them how much it costs. Well,
right.
That's a menu plan. I'm not really for that.
You've seen in Florida, and I think there are going to be other states in the next couple of years that kind of take on their own issue, and I brought up guns.
Yeah.
It seems like states are trying to take this issue on because the federal government, they look at the federal government and say, y'all aren't going to do anything, so we're going to do stuff.
Right.
Do you think anything needs to change as far as gun laws?
I don't. What I do think needs to change is, well, that's not what I want to say. What I want to say is I think schools need to take the lead on it. And even in this area, Shallow Water ISD took the lead on school safety. These schools need to feel empowered to do exactly that. And however they see fit, that's exactly what needs to happen. And that's kind of how I stand on it. If you're the governing entity, you want to lead on this issue, you go right ahead. That's what local control is.
So you don't want the state to change anything?
I don't think there's a one-size-fits-all to it. I really don't. Some schools you can have a one entryway. They're that small. If you had a one entryway only open type of thing, and like in the places of Houston or in those areas, you're going to create the biggest traffic problem since, well, I don't know, in any bigger city. Right. So that's not just simply going to work. You have to have a regional approach to things, and a one-size-fits-all cookie-cutter approach isn't going to do it.
Would you have? And I don't remember if we brought this up in the last time you were in. When it comes to border security, and you mentioned, hey, the feds are going to take it over. Let's bring that money back. Yeah. Sanctuary cities. If you would have been in the legislature at the time, would you have voted on the sanctuary cities bill? Well,
I got to tell you, I probably would not have voted on that, and I'll tell you why. Is that the big problem that I had was the amendment, the Schaefer amendment. That was the show me your papers type thing. That just spooks the living heck out of so many people, and that scares so many people into coming out of the shadows and admitting what that they have done and trying to help. We've seen studies on that. It's just simply it's dividing cities, and I'm not in favor of that. Now, truth be told, if you are here illegally and you murder somebody, no, you're gone. And that's the stance that President Clinton had, that President Bush, and even President Obama has had. But I think if you get stopped for running a red light or running a stoplight or going 1 mile an hour over the speed limit, I don't find that egregious enough to be deported. People come over here on the shirts with the clothes on their back, trying to make a better life, and we have to be able to find ways for that to maintain that. So I'm definitely against any kind of illegal immigration. You violate more crimes, you're gone. But just simply, the manner in which you do it, I think that needs to be taken into account. And that's also an unfunded mandate to the counties, which is also a bigger problem for their county jails.
Real quickly,
yes,
do you think there needs to be a cap on property tax hikes?
No. And I'll tell you why. It's not going to do anything. I'll do it real quick. It's not going to really save anybody any money. I have my property tax bill right here with me. It's also going to hurt public safety, as that's about a quarter to 33% of every county budget. It's going to hurt our county officers and all those things. So
tell people your website.
LandryForWestTex.com. I'm on Twitter, Landry for West Tex, Facebook, Landry for West Tex.
All right. Drew Landry, Democratic candidate for HD 83. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you, Chad. Appreciate you.